Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Directionally Speaking. I'm Jeff Zentz, Senior Director of Innovation for Agronovis, Indiana. And we're here with another incredible conversation to talk about innovation and how to be an innovator in the ag bioscience world. I'm joined today by Malvina from Plateful. And she's going to tell us a bit more about her story, her business, and what we're doing. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Malvina. Please introduce yourself and the business, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Hello, I am Malvina De Salvo, CEO of Playful, and I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Playful is a nutrition literacy tool for children. We are an app with animated learning modules where we educate children from seed to body system on the role of food and nutrition. So they learn about farming, harvesting, supply chain, culture, and nutrition. And we have a hardware device. We have a smart food plate that lights up, talks to, and engages kids while they eat. It tracks macronutrients and shares that data with our app for rich insights. It knows when your child is not eating their vegetables and responds in real time. So we're really trying to help parents deal with those picky eaters and help them establish healthy eating habits.
Malvina, that sounds like a platform that even I, as an adult, need. I need to be able to track those macronutrients and make sure
Right.
that I know my veggies. Talk to me about how Plateful came about. Like, where did the idea come from? How did you get inspired? And, like, what made you dive off into let's create a business?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's totally jumping off the deep end to say I'm going to build a startup, or as I like to say, I'm going to invent something and get a patent like I'm Benjamin Franklin or something. But really, this was really born out of my own world experience. I'm a mom to two premature children, and when we reached solid foods with my eldest, we were really struggling. I just couldn't get her to eat. It was so bad. We were seeing the pediatrician every month just to weigh her. And finally, the recommendation was a calorie dense diet full of saturated fats and processed foods because they're the most calorie dense. And I'm a person who's struggled with my own weight. We all know what we should eat, and it's those habits that prevent us from reaching our optimal goal. But feeling so embarrassed and ashamed of my inability to do the most basic thing, which is feeding your child, I followed the recommendation. So I'm introducing chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, French fries, case meats, all stuff that she's never had before. And as you can imagine, her weight rose, and then the doctors were like, okay, great, go back to a healthy diet. But if I've been giving you mac and cheese and chicken nuggets every day, and suddenly I put a piece of grilled chicken and some roasted vegetables in front of you, or do you think she ate it?
No.
No, I now had an exasperated problem. So it was a lot of crying at the dinner table by me, not by her.
Mhm.
Some singing and some dancing. And finally, I started to show her maps of cultures around the world, explaining this avocado came from Mexico and, this papaya came from such and such. And this is what the farming practices look like and how it comes on a boat or, on a train and then what it does for your body, showing her that it helps with your eyesight, explaining what protein is and translating it to kid appropriate language, saying you're going to build muscle so you can do the monkey bars at the park, or you're going to grow so you can reach the pedals on your bicycle, your tricycle, all milestones that she was struggling with. So really bringing it down is what it does to fuel your body and your activity.
Oh, but that's so exciting, and especially, um, it sounds like you've taken this interesting approach. Like often we think about education and trying to change behavior around, just the kind of the facts around like, well, I know kale's healthy for me, even though I don't like the flavor, but that should be enough to get me to eat it. But it's really hard, and it's even harder with kids. Um, I love this thought around like talking even back to how is it grown and like who is the farmer and what does that look like? Where did that idea come from? Because that seems like a really novel approach to the education side for the kiddos.
Davil is a wonderful statement because, in America, we really don't do the best job in providing nutritional literacy. When we talk about literacy with children, we often talk about traditional literacy, ABCs, one, two, threes, shapes, colors. But nutrition literacy is often forgotten. If children in America receive nutrition literacy, it's often not till the middle school or high school years. And even then, it's only a few hours and not necessarily comprehensive enough. And what I call often a decade too late, because now they've already have a decade or more of habits that they're trying to break. So really Playful is trying to meet parents on the onset of introduction to solids to help you lay that good foundation to begin with and have those habits instilled in those early years when habits actually form and your palate is developed. So studies show if you introduce healthy foods and develop those habits at that solid period for those first few years, they're more likely to have a better diet as they age. So, we all have that friend who somehow seamlessly manages the 80-20% rule where they're eating well and healthy 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time they can indulge, but they're not counting their calories, they're not measuring things, they're not having to go to the gym twice a day to combat their diet. And they don't seem to be like angry all the time because, or struggling with their diet. They just do it intuitively, and that's really what we're trying to help parents achieve.
That's amazing. Um, and I think everybody here has gotten a chance to understand a bit more about Plateful. I want to dive into a bit more of your story as an entrepreneur. Did you always know you were going to be an entrepreneur? Did you always want to be? Or is this something that you've kind of fallen into and had a happy surprise that it's like your thing?
I wonder when the term entrepreneur started, but I look back at my corporate career. I spent 20 years in the healthcare industry on the provider hospital insurance side. But what I didn't realize at the time was I was always gravitating towards departments or roles that were newly created, didn't exist. So I was on the forefront of value-based care. I developed the ACOs and IMHs, participated in the development of them in Illinois here. And so I really was already being an entrepreneur within the corporate sector and the boundaries and the safety net of that corporate life, but it also gave you millions in budget. uh,
Yeah.
but once I had this idea, just kept gnawing at me, and I got my entrepreneur certificate, which was a new concept at the time for DePaul. I was part of DePaul's first certificate program class essentially, and that was like, okay, there's a lot to build here. And then really the beauty of entrepreneurship and startup life, it's very ecosystem network, community focused. So you start to peel the onion and you find all these resources one at a time, and just led me down a rabbit hole. To be quite honest, when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I didn't feel equipped to start Playful because it's so many things. It's an app, it's learning content, it's a hardware device, and hardware is a beast all on its own. And so I thought, let me master selling products first, because if I can build it, then I got to figure out how to sell it. So I started an online retail business first, selling products on my own domain, and then a third party seller for Amazon and Walmart, reaching top 10% in Amazon sellers. And so really, that's a whole thing all on its own, is learning how to sell on e-commerce and SEO and cost per click. And so really, once I mastered all of that, I said it's time to jump into the deep end and let me pursue Playful. But yeah, so we're here now, and we've been working on this for quite a few years, and we have strong MVPs, and we're pilot testing.
Super exciting. So, what is, if you looking back at your journey now, what is either something you've learned or an obstacle you've overcome or a thing that you would tell your earlier self um, about this journey that you didn't know that would have been a big unlock for you?
Oh my God, so many things, right? I think I grossly underestimated how long things would take, especially with hardware. Especially if you have a med tech device, that's 10 years. Any hardware device is 2 to 6, depending on the complexity. And, our plate has a lot of technology embedded in it. So just prototyping, developing, iterating on that takes years. So accept that it will take you years to be on this journey. And that's the real reason why most people will never see the other side, is because they give up along the journey. Another is just get real comfortable with failure, get real comfortable with struggle. It's the struggle bus the whole way. And I learned that in my first startup. No matter how successful I got in Amazon, and remember, I was a top 10% Amazon seller, I never felt successful. I never felt like I had made it. One day you're here, one day here. So entrepreneurship and startup life is a lot of roller coasters, up and down emotions. Learning to get comfortable with that, learning to get comfortable with failure, recognizing failure is part of the path to success. And the more failure you see, the more resistance, the more uncomfortable you feel, you're probably on the right path. If everything is easy and a ray of sunshine, you're probably not moving the needle. you know
100%. So true. It's so true. And also it's exciting to hear a little bit of that, like uh that you can still be confident even when things are not always feeling like sunshine and rainbows. Now, we've worked together, in a previous program, and now you've come to join us in Velocity for the first ever Velocity program. What are the things over the next 6 months that you're hoping or relying on Velocity to help be another level of unlock for you? What does that look like for Plateful over the next 6 months as we move forward?
Yeah, so we are so closer than we've ever been to reaching the market. And so, that last 20% push, I think, is actually in some ways harder than that 80%. You think you're like, oh, I'm close to the finish line. That last mile of the marathon, right, is always where
Mhm.
people fall down and need that additional support. So post pilot, we're really definitely looking for support of, can we get some, stronger pilots in place? Can we get some partnerships in place? Can we get some funding in place? Ultimately, building a hardware device definitely needs some support and some partnership to help reach it into mainstream. Because we believe that this is a tool not just for families and to be able to use it in home use. We think it's a tool that providers and hospitals can use as well with their patient population as an assistant tool. When we talk about specialists like GI, nutrition, endocrinology, they may see a patient once a quarter, once a year, once a month if you're lucky, but a lot of people can't afford that. So we see ourselves as an additional tool to help them do patient monitoring and help them facilitate those good habits, which is often what leads someone to endo or GI or poor growth, poor height, bad GI issues due to a poor diet, low nutrition, so low fiber, things of that nature. So really just trying to help that community as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and we're excited to be part of the journey to help support. You've got a captive audience of folks who potentially could be helpful to you that are listening to this right now. Obviously, we can't ask for investment directly, but we can ask for help. And so, if somebody's listening to this that is inspired by your journey, inspired by what Plateful's doing, like where are the things that the listeners to this podcast can potentially plug in and help?
Oh gosh, yeah. Obviously investment is huge, but we're definitely looking for partnerships. So if you are in a position to participate in a larger scale pilot, whether that be, you run a research clinic, you are a PhD researcher, or you are in the healthcare community, or even if you're in private sector, you're in retail, and you think there's an opportunity to partner. Um, Definitely. We're always looking for exposure and reach to be able to share what we're building. Obviously, in the entrepreneurship community, building that network out and having that opportunity to share what you're building on a larger stage is also very helpful. But yeah, and we're definitely looking to grow our team. So if you're looking to join a startup, please reach out.
Would love that. And there will be contact information in the show notes of this to contact the Agronovus team, and we will be happy to get you connected to Malvina and her team if any of those things speak to you and you want to take part. Malvina, I've got one last question for you, and then I'm going to cut you free. You'll be off the hot seat. But we talked a little bit about short-term journey. Let's fast forward 2 years from now. What's the path? Where is Plateful? Where do you hope to be in 2 years if we look back retro and say, we did the things that we were hoping to do? What does that look like for the business?
Yeah, in 2 years, we hope to be generating revenue and significant revenue and growing, and hopefully have already established product market fit. So we found an ideal customer. They like what we're building. We're fine tuning and improving the build and, maybe on V3 of our hardware. and a national, if not global product.
So exciting. And we can't wait to be part of the journey to support you as you kind of drive forward. Malvina, thank you for taking the time to be with us on Directionally Speaking today. Thank you, the listener, for being here and checking out what's going on in innovation in ag bioscience. And we'll catch you next time.
No, thank you guys for having me. I love all the work that you guys do and how you support entrepreneurs. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Malvina.